should FBS schools continue to play FCS schools? And I don't know why we're still using those acronyms because they're both FCS. They're all FCS schools because there's a playoff. But anyway, games like Tennessee and Austin P, should they continue to happen? What say you?
Yes, I think I think they should for a few reasons. Now, the reason I brought this up, guys, for whoever is wondering, is because next year the SEC is going to go to 16. Look, Dave and I both think it's only a matter of time before the SEC and Big Ten are both at 24 teams, 25 teams, and breaking off, and it's just going to change the whole complexion of college football. I still think when that happens, they should work out a way to play an FCS school a year for two reasons. One, you play them in September. It kind of does help you figure out a little bit more about your football team because it's like a preseason game, isn't it, Dave? It's like a glorified scrimmage,
or a bye week. If you want to look at it,
or a bye week. Yeah, it's like an extra bye week. I would actually be okay if they decided, like, let's do week 0, the week before Labor Day weekend. Every major team plays an FCS team that weekend. And it's like an exhibition weekend for everybody. So it's kind of like it's a tune-up game. You get to find out about your team. It's like exhibition games in basketball, which you always have two versions of. So I think it helps the teams. But from the other side, what people don't realize, guys, these FCS programs, the thing that keeps them afloat is going on the road once a year and getting their brains beat out by a Power 5 elite program that's going to fill the stadium. And then that Power 5 program will write them a check. And if you get rid of that, you're going to see these FCS teams all go by the wayside. And I don't think that's good for the country. I think there's a lot of great high school football players who are going to get recruited by top schools, who this is their only chance to go play football. And I think that's good just for the college experience, one, but two, you find some kids out of FCS every now and then that stumble their way into the NFL. I mean, you're going to close off a massive you're going to limit the number of opportunities to play college athletics if you don't have these games.
Okay, well, I agree with that, what you said. And it's going to hurt lower level schools like Austin P. So as we stand right now, I believe that you either play Austin P or you play Michigan, Notre Dame, Southern California. You play a big name school. There's no in between. Like the UTSA matchup, I don't get why you would schedule that. When was that scheduled, Caleb? I mean, UTSA has been a pretty good program. Could they come in and upset Tennessee? Yeah, I mean, it's unlikely, very unlikely. But it's much more likely than Austin P. So if you see what I'm getting at, you either give money back to football and no doubt, like Marshall. I never understood why they played Marshall. And back in 2005, had Stan Hill not turned his ankle, Marshall might have beaten Tennessee in Neyland Stadium. That would have been horrible for the program. So I never understood why you would schedule those type of guys. You either play somebody elite that a loss doesn't ding you too much in the college football playoff and that you get a lot of pub out of, or you play an Austin P, MTSU, preferably in-state, to give them the money. Now, that being said, what I ultimately want to happen, and I know some people in the message board are going to get mad at me, I want every game on the schedule to be losable. Okay. I want like the NFL. Okay. And I know you think I'm crazy, but I want a 9-3 season worthy of making a 12-team playoff, which it will be, and every game's exciting. Maybe I'm being selfish because I've sat through some North Texas games that the game was over before the band took the field for pregame. And that's what I would like to see, 12 quality games. How many quality games does Tennessee have on their schedule this year? I mean, that truly quality games that they could lose that you're going to sit there and sit through. And even if an Ohio State, Michigan, or Florida, LSU is on the other channel, you're going to sit through. How many of those games are on the schedule?
Oh, I mean, maybe 5, 4. Like, now, do you count South Carolina, Texas A&M, Florida in this quality game
Well,
situation?
no, I would count South Carolina, Texas A&M, and Florida because they're in the conference. But I
Okay.
wouldn't
But,
mind
like, because Vanderbilt's in the conference. So
right. I wouldn't mind. That's what I was going to say. I wouldn't mind jettisoning Vanderbilt. I mean, if you want to get rid of Vanderbilt, you could. Now I know they're not going to. They're original charter members, right, of the SEC, and they're not going anywhere. But I would like for all 12 games to be real contests. So and I know D's saying we could lose this Saturday. Not likely, but it could happen. I don't think it's even within the realm of possibility. So those are the games I would remove, Caleb, from the schedule. Once that movement comes where the Big Ten and the SEC are like the AL and NL, and you have a super conference. Once that comes, now I'm not saying I would do it now. I mean, I wouldn't schedule Notre Dame, Miami, blah blah blah. All those teams back to back to back. You still need some soft opponents with the way college football is set up now, but it's not going to be set up like that for very much longer.
Yeah, with the Big Ten and the SEC, what's going to happen is they're going to get so big. They're going to separate. The one good thing about it is people who think conferences are dying, Dave, you know this. They're going to get so big, they're going to create conferences within the conference at this point. And then there will be more control and new rivalries will come out of that. I think you'll have a situation where you play all of your conference games, then your conference games, a couple of games with the Big Ten on the other side. And yeah, I think you can get 11 out of that. And then one game a year against one of the teams that's iced out from the new major league that you're talking about. I think one game a year is fine just to keep these programs afloat. And I think here's what I don't want to happen. I don't want to see college football programs drop like flies that are decent programs at smaller levels that have potential to have a decent fan base, all because they're not in the SEC or Big Ten, because we know they can't compete. They can never realistically compete. Like, even it's funny, you brought up MTSU. MTSU is never going to be in the SEC or the Big Ten. Ever, ever, ever. That's not happening. They are not capable of competing at that level. That's fine. That doesn't mean that that their school, their fans, and those players don't have a right to have a decent football program for where they're at.
No, all great points. Now, Tom says replace Austin Peay with Virginia Tech. No offense, Tom. We agree on a lot, but not this one. Virginia Tech is the exact kind of opponent I would not schedule, because they're going to get up for that game. They're not a lowly opponent, but unless you hold it in Bristol Motor Speedway, which was stupid. Unless you do that, you're not going to get a lot of pub off of the game. So Virginia Tech, even though I know it's a rivalry up there, Tom, and I don't want to dismiss that in the Tri-City area, that's the exact kind of opponent I would not put on the schedule.
Yes. Do you remember, just for reference, back in the late 90s, Tennessee kind of learned this because they were scheduling Memphis every year, and Memphis was putting up a fight. I mean, they beat them one time because Memphis had a top 5 defense every year, even though they weren't a good team. And it's like, that's not who you want to play when you know Memphis is going to get up for that game and you're just trying to get out of there with the win and call it a day.